Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to share a story that reminds us how little we really know about the people around us, and how sometimes the most powerful truths are revealed in the moments we least expect. So sit back and listen closely, because this story begins inside a luxury hotel where a millionaire decided to disguise himself as an ordinary guest, only to overhear something that would change his life forever. It all started on a bright weekday morning. The Grand Royal Hotel was busier than usual. Business travelers, wealthy tourists, and high-profile clients checked in and out, completely unaware that among them stood a man who owned half the buildings they were walking past. His name was Adrian Cole. A billionaire entrepreneur in his early 40s, polished, sharp, and known for being extremely strict. Most employees feared him, not because he was cruel, but because he expected perfection. His hotels were among the top-rated in the country, and he demanded nothing less than excellence. But what many people didn't know about Adrian was that he had been feeling something he had never admitted out loud. He was starting to forget what real life looked like. All the admiration, the praise, the fancy suits and board meetings had pushed him so far from the simple world he grew up in that he wasn't sure he still understood it. So one day, instead of showing up for his usual inspection surrounded by a team of managers, he decided to see the hotel through the eyes of a normal guest. He wore simple clothes, checked in without using his name, and carried a small overnight bag he packed himself. The staff had no idea who he was. And honestly, that was exactly what he wanted. He walked the halls slowly, noticing every detail, the scent of fresh linen, the polished floors, the faint music playing near the elevators. Everything seemed perfect. But Adrian knew perfection often lived only on the surface. He wanted to see how his employees behaved when they weren't under pressure to impress the boss. He spent the first few hours observing quietly. The receptionist was polite. The bellman smiled warmly. The chef prepared a flawless dinner. Everything seemed smooth. Yet something felt rehearsed. Like everyone was acting because that's what their job required. But then, late at night, Adrian stumbled upon something real. He was returning from the gym when he noticed a house cleaner inside a room across the hall. She was small, maybe in her late 20s, with tired eyes and worn-out shoes. She moved quickly yet gently, handling everything with care, as if the hotel belongings mattered to her personally. Adrian paused near the doorway, pretending to check his phone, but really just watching her work. A moment later, her phone rang. She froze. The sound wasn't the cheerful ringtone most people used. It was a short, urgent buzz, like she kept it on silent all the time to avoid trouble. She hesitated before answering, like she was afraid of what she might hear. And when she finally pressed the phone to her ear, her voice cracked. "Is he okay? Please tell me he's breathing." Adrian's chest tightened. This wasn't a casual conversation. There was silence as she listened, gripping the phone with shaking hands. "Please, just keep him warm. I'll send more money. I promise." Her voice broke again. She put a hand over her mouth, holding in her sobs. "I just need a little more time." Adrian felt guilt twist inside him. He knew employees struggled sometimes, but hearing desperation this raw struck him deeply. She hung up and wiped her eyes quickly, forcing herself back to work, forcing herself to act normal. Adrian took a few steps toward the room, pretending he needed housekeeping. She looked up, startled, immediately apologizing. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll leave right away. I didn't mean to bother anyone." He shook his head. "You're not bothering me." She nodded quickly, bowed, and tried to leave, but he gently stopped her. "Are you okay?" he asked. For a second, she froze, as if those were the last words she expected to hear. She forced a tight smile. "I'm fine, sir. Just a family matter. Nothing important." But her red eyes told a different story. She hurried past him, apologizing again, and disappeared down the hall. Adrian stood there for several minutes, wondering who she was and what kind of pain she was hiding. He wanted to help, but approaching her as a stranger would make things complicated. So he decided to watch quietly, at least for now. The next morning, he followed her again, not in a creepy way, but carefully enough to understand her routine. She arrived early, far earlier than anyone else. He saw her wiping down windows, vacuuming carpets, and scrubbing bathrooms until her hands turned red. She worked harder than everyone else combined, yet no one seemed to notice her. During lunch, instead of eating in the staff cafeteria, she sat alone on the back steps of the building, eating nothing but a small piece of bread. She checked her phone repeatedly with trembling fingers, waiting for an update that never came. Adrian couldn't get her out of his mind. Something was wrong, seriously wrong. Later that day, he overheard another phone call. This time, she didn't try to hide. "Doctor, please, don't discharge him. I'm working double shifts. I'll pay the bill." She swallowed hard, tears rolling down her cheeks. He's only 6 years old. He just needs a little more time. Adrian felt the world around him go quiet. A sick child. Medical bills. Double shifts. A mother trying her best. And no one knew. No one cared. He suddenly felt disgusted with himself, not because he had done something wrong, but because he had spent so much time living in luxury while his own employees were drowning in problems they were too afraid to talk about. Problems he could fix instantly if only he knew they existed. That night, he made a decision. He revealed himself. The next morning, the staff gathered in the lounge, completely unaware that the mysterious guest was actually the man who signed their paychecks. When Adrian walked in wearing a sharp suit instead of the simple clothes from before, the entire room froze. Eyes widened. People stood straighter. Some panicked, wondering if they had made any mistakes. Adrian cleared his throat. "Good morning, everyone. I visited the hotel anonymously the past few days. I wanted to see the reality behind the curtains." Everyone exchanged nervous looks. He turned his gaze toward the cleaner, the young woman who now stood trembling near the back of the room, her face pale. "And I saw something important," he continued. "I saw hard work. Real dedication. And real struggles." She lowered her head, tears already forming because she knew what was coming. She expected to be fired for answering personal phone calls while working. She expected to lose the one thing keeping her son alive. But instead, Adrian walked toward her slowly. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lila, sir." "Lila," he said softly, "you don't have to hide your pain anymore." Her eyes shot up in confusion. She tried to speak, but fear locked her throat. "I know about your son," Adrian continued gently. "I overheard your calls. And I want you to know something, no mother should have to beg for her child's life." Her trembling turned into silent sobbing. She covered her mouth, unable to hold herself together. The room was frozen. Shocked. Confused. Adrian reached into his jacket and held out a small card. "This is the hospital director's personal number. I already spoke to him this morning. Your son's bills are covered. He will continue receiving care, and he will stay as long as he needs." Lila's knees buckled. She almost collapsed, but a colleague caught her. She cried so hard she couldn't breathe. Why would you do that for me?" Adrian knelt slightly so their eyes met. "Because you deserve help. Because your son deserves a chance. And because you've worked harder than anyone here, and nobody noticed. That ends now." A wave of relief spread across the room. Some employees wiped their eyes. Others covered their mouths. Adrian stood tall again. "From today forward," he announced, "we're implementing new staff support policies, increased wages, emergency medical funds, and mental health assistance. You are not machines. You are human beings. And I want to run a company that remembers that. The room erupted in quiet applause, though many were still too shocked to react fully. Lila stepped forward, tears still pouring. Thank you, sir. You saved my son. I don't know how to repay you. He smiled softly. Just keep being the strong mother you already are. That's more valuable than anything money can buy. But the story didn't end there. Weeks passed. Lila's son slowly recovered. Adrian visited him at the hospital more than once, bringing toys and talking to him like a caring uncle. The boy grew stronger each day, and Lila never stopped thanking Adrian, not because he paid the bills, but because he cared enough to see her pain when nobody else did. The staff became closer. The work environment improved. People no longer hid their troubles. They no longer lived in fear of losing their jobs over things they couldn't control. And Adrian, well, he changed too. He began spending more time walking through his hotels, not as a boss, but as a human being. He listened more. He supported more. He realized that kindness didn't weaken leadership, it strengthened it. One evening, as he prepared to leave the hospital after another visit to Lila's son, the boy grabbed his hand. Are you a superhero? The child asked innocently. Adrian laughed softly. No, buddy. I'm just a man. The boy smiled. But mommy says you saved me. Adrian's heart swelled. Your mom saved you. I just helped a little. And for the first time in years, Adrian felt something he had forgotten. Purpose. Not the kind that came from money or power. But the kind that came from doing something that truly mattered. As he walked outside into the cool evening breeze, he realized he didn't need to pretend to be a guest anymore. Because now, he finally understood what he had been missing. Human connection. Compassion. The truth that real wealth wasn't measured by properties, profit, or luxury, but by the lives you touch along the way. And that night, as Lila hugged her son and whispered prayers of gratitude, Adrian knew he had gained something he never expected the day he chose to go undercover. He didn't just hear a shocking phone call. He heard a cry for help. A cry that changed everything. A cry that turned a millionaire into a human being again. And that, my friends, is the story of how compassion can rewrite a life, sometimes in the most unexpected place, with the most unexpected people. Thank you for staying till the end. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because more heart-touching stories are coming your way. See you in the next video.